Peace and blessings, everybody. It's Sunday, April the 14th, the year 2019. And Jeffrey has spent 6.5 years in prison as an innocent man because he tried to do the right thing. He wrote me a letter, and it said, how did the radio show go? He's talking about the radio show with Michael Herzog on the AmericanAwakening.org. Hey, contact Glenn Beck, would you? I saw him on Hannity last night. He might be worth an email. I pray that church is going well and Pastor Broden as well. I appreciate all you do for me and the cause. We have the victory in Jesus. It won't be long until he sets the captives free. Just keep praying and believe in the Lord for great things. I love you guys. So we love Jeffrey too, and I wrote Jeffrey a response back, and I thought I would read it to you guys. And then I'm going to send it to Glenn Beck on this video. Here's what I wrote back to Jeffrey. Peace and blessings, Jeff. I think that the show went well, and thank God for Michael Herzog with the AmericanAwakening.org, who wanted to do a program on your story. If you get a chance, you might want to write to him to tell him a big thank you for showcasing your story. He has a popular program, and it was a very kind act on his part to focus on your case. His mailing address from his website is Michael Herzog. This is on his website, so I'm not giving away any private information. 8615 East Main Street, F82, Mesa, Arizona 85207. In the time allowed, I tried my best to cover the highlights below. I may not have gotten around to every single point, but I did my best. Number one, I probably should put numbers by these, right? 1, it would always be best to talk to Jeff about the case of Jeff, but the warden, Stanley Payne, no longer allows Jeff's voice to go out over the internet. In the interim, we need Jeff's friends to stand in the gap and tell people about your case. Number 2, I stress that some of the things that will be mentioned on the radio will sound so crazy that I encourage the audience to confirm for themselves by studying your case. And don't simply take my word for it. Number 3, we discussed that you put an ad in the newspaper for people to send you examples of corruption, and you received 200 replies that were stored on your computers. Number 4, we discussed how you put out a bulletin 10 years prior to the shooting on September the 11th, 2012, exposing corruption. We discussed I'm going to put in parentheses, MSHP, Missouri State Highway Patrol, came and took your computers, and Sergeant Henry Folsom claimed to smell marijuana. I think I brought up how you ran for sheriff and coroner, and how they flipped the vote total so you did not win. If I didn't bring that up, I should have. Time goes very quickly when you are on the air. Number 5, we discussed the camera video which recorded audio as well of you getting shot 13 seconds after you got out of the car to get your computers back, which was an absolute lie by the MSHP. We discussed how you were singing and praying before you arrived to meet the cops. Number 6, we discussed the unbiased bystander testimony of Marty Leach, who said you did not have a gun, did not pull a gun, you did not pull a gun, and was set up, executed, and murdered. We discussed the lies of Scott Mertens and Sergeant Henry Folsom and how they told you to get your hands off the gun when that was not on the audio, when that was not on the audio, and said your gun was on the right side when it was really on the left. Number 7, we discussed the two FBI depositions from Cunningham and Marushak, which reported they did not see a gun, but that was never introduced in your trial before the jury. Number 8, we discussed your hospital bill was avoided by the state because they did not arrest you till after you were let out of the hospital. Number 9, Michael asked how in the world could you have survived 2 .40 caliber hollow point bullets to the head and 2 through the chest. My only response was a miracle of God. Number 10, we discussed a bullet found in the ground near your head, which proves that they shot to murder you while you were on the ground. Number 11, we discussed the reflection in the paint, which shows your gun on the left side, which contradicts the lying testimony of Scott Mertens and Henry James Folsom. 12, we discussed how your friend Matt Thompson was arrested while coming to visit you and was thrown in jail for 24 hours, and his iPhone confiscated and vehicle impounded. Matt came to visit you because nobody had heard from you in over 14 days, even your lawyer. Number 13, we discussed how Art LeBeau was kicked out of the church pastored by the warden because Art is your friend. Number 14, we discussed how Daryl McClanahan's entire Facebook page was taken down as he advocated for you a great deal everywhere all over Facebook. Number 15, we discussed the 80,000 volt electrocution shock collar and how it had a warning sticker that it would cause excruciating pain and cause someone to pee and defecate oneself. We discussed that this is the first time this Missouri court had ever used such a device, and they bought it especially for you. Number 16, we discussed how they ban your voice on the internet and are trying to scrub your story from YouTube and Facebook. Number 17, we discussed people can help by going to Free Jeff Now and donating to your legal cause. We discussed the name of your lawyer is Warren Markowitz and is the same lawyer as Todd Engel, who got 14 years for helping the Bundys. Number 18, we asked people to get involved and write letters to Governor Mike Parsons. We discussed how the previous governor, what's his name? Shoot. Can't think of the previous governor's name. I know Mike Parsons is the current governor, Eric Greitens. Yeah, we discussed how the previous governor, Eric Greitens, resigned because he was taking nudie photos of his tied-up mistress and threatening to share and blackmailing her with them. Yeah, and blackmailing her with those photos. Number 19, we discussed the parachute holster and how it would be impossible to pull your gun in the time frame they alleged. 20, we encourage people to write to you directly with any questions, and you are a good, godly man who loves the Lord and his family. If they can do this to you, they can do this to anyone. We love you, brother, in Christ Jesus, Rudy. Now, I also wrote this to Glenn Beck because he wants me to, let me just say this. I don't like Glenn Beck. I got no reason to contact Glenn Beck. I'm not a fan of Glenn Beck. But because I love Jeffrey, and because Jeffrey's my friend, and he asked me to send an email to Glenn Beck, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to humble myself, and I'm going to send an email to Glenn Beck. How's that for strawberry cake, Okay, so let's go to Glenn Beck's site. We got it right here. It's glennbeck.com. He's got a contact button. I'm just going to put my name, Rudy Davis. If I can spell my own name right, my email. And I'll just paste the whole message in. And my email to Glenn Beck. Okay, if you guys want to help me read this. Hi, Glenn Beck. The innocent man below named Jeffrey Weinhaus, who has been sentenced to prison for 30 years, watched you on the Hannity Show. Jeffrey thinks you will help bring attention to his story. I hope he is right. His information can be found at freejeffnow.com and yearofjubilee.com/Jeffrey. I even give Jeffrey's mailing address in prison, and I tell him, and I'll put my phone number. Not that Glenn Beck would ever call me, right? Don't really care. I'm so sick and tired of writing to congressmen and governors and famous people that ignore people in prison, but they'll speak up about something Robinson. What's that guy's name? Robinson in the UK, and now that Julian Assange is, he's famous, we can't get no attention for Jeffrey or Schaefer Cox or Russell Landers or David Hinkson. But hey, I'm going to try. You guys are seeing me try, right? I'm not avoiding it. I am doing it. I'm just complaining as I'm doing it. My wife says I shouldn't even complain. I should just do it and stop the complaining. All right. Well, anyway, here we go. There we go. I'm hitting the submit button. There you go. Look at that. A message has been submitted. So guess what? Guess what? Hold on. There it is. Your message has been submitted. I was asked by my friend, who I love a great deal, and I believe is innocent, to send a message to Glenn Beck. What did I do? I sent a message to Glenn Beck, and I said, please help Jeffrey Weinhaus. All right. I hope you help Jeffrey Weinhaus. I hope you remember that he's spending 30 years in prison. They attempted to murder him. Now they're trying to silence him. And the warden claims to be a preacher, for God's sakes. And he's kicking people out of his church if they're friends with Jeffrey Weinhaus. We live in a terrible society, and Warden Stanley Payne and the prosecutor Bob Parks and Scott Mertens and Sergeant Henry James Fulson, you guys all need to get divine justice. I pray Psalms 109 on every one of you, and if you don't know what that is, just go read Psalms 109. Please remember Jeffrey. Please help Jeffrey get a story out. Thank you for your time.